Today, we're taking a look at some board game announcements that were revealed over the past month and see if any of them are worthy to hit your table. This is Roll for Crit.
Starting off with a couple of brand new ones from Bezier Games. Whistle Mountain is the follow-up to Whistle Stop. It's a standalone worker placement game. You're going to be dealing with the mountains, where you'll be building different contraptions, as well as gathering resources, but then also the sky, where you'll have blimps, hot air balloons, other forms of air travel, and you'll have to decide which of the two areas you want to focus on to gather the most resources and outpace your opponents. Then we have Maglev Metro from designer Ted Alspach. This is all about building up brand new railway systems using new technology that will improve upon existing transportation systems that we currently have all over the world. You're going to be traveling around building routes. It's a pick up and deliver game, but you have transparent tiles that can actually overlap other players' routes. And by the end of the game, you'll have an interesting, colorful map of a brand new metro system that you've designed yourself.
Come On Games is a new two-player game, Fairy Tale Inn. In this game, you are innkeepers at the famous inn that all fairy tale characters like to stay at. You want to prove you are the better innkeeper by being the one who earns the most gold. You'll be doing this by taking character tiles and sliding them in a sheet similar to Connect 4, a vertical board. At the beginning of the game, you'll choose which characters you're going to use, each one with unique scoring properties. For example, you may want the little pigs want to be next to each other, while the big bad wolf wants to see who can put the most wolf tokens in each row. You will then, of course, be placing them on a little track where you can choose which token you want to put in, and the game will continue until the entire inn is filled, where you will then score gold and see who was the best innkeeper.
Funko Games continues to expand its presence in the board game world. They have two new announcements for us. First, one based on the film Back to the Future, called Back to the Future Back in Time. It's a fully cooperative game in which you'll be playing as the characters from the movie, going back in time and recreating the events of that story. So you'll have to make sure that Marty McFly's parents fall in love, and you're going to have to travel around and find parts to fix Doc's broken time machine before it's too late. Their other new announcement is Pan Am, based on Pan American Airways. Each player will have their own air travel company competing with each other, as well as Pan Am themselves, to gain the most money, as well as to have the most resources and have the biggest presence overall in the air travel industry. You'll even have the opportunity to buy stocks from Pan Am and see how those pan out if you think that your air travel company isn't going the way you want it to.
The Op has a whole bunch of announcements they've made over the past month. We're going to start off with Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle, the Charms and Potions expansion. This is the second expansion for the deck building game, which adds Ginny Weasley as a playable character, as well as rules to have 5 people playing as once. Of course, this also adds new spells like charms and new villains and encounters. Spongebob had 2 announcements. First, we have Spongebob Plankton Rising. This is a cooperative game when you are working together to stop Plankton from stealing the Krabby Patty formula. We've also got a new Trivial Pursuit with SpongeBob as the theme to show off that you are the best when it comes to bikini bottom knowledge. Going from kids cartoon to horror movie, we have Friday the 13th, Horror at Camp Crystal Lake. In this, you are all playing as camp counselors, and you're all going to try to survive by gathering different resources and trying to hopefully outwit Jason Voorhees before he kills you. Finally, we have Quest of Yore Barley's Edition. This is actually an RPG game, so you'll be having someone play as the quest master, while other people play as the characters. But this is based on the Onward, the recent Pixar movie, so it's going to have a lot of the lore from there. So without saying too much, you're going to come across many of the characters you may recognize from the movie or the stories they tell, including, of course, the Manticore.
Raiders of Scythia from Renegade Game Studios focuses on the legendary Raiders of Scythia, who are in competition with the Greeks and the Persians and other empires of the day. You'll be taking control of one of the chieftains in the game, each with its own special unique powers. And in order to gain victory points, you'll be conquering settlements, gathering resources, recruiting new crew members to try to get more points than anyone else before the game ends. This is from designer Shem Phillips, and it is a follow-up of sorts to Raiders of the North Sea, which evolves a little bit on that game's gameplay.
My Little Scythe is taking flight with Pie in the Sky, the most recent expansion. In the lore of the world, there once was an airship, the legendary ship Kai, which all the tribes worked together to build. Unfortunately, it was lost, as well as the last 2 tribes seen using it, the Owls and Arctic Foxes. However, in the most recent tournament, the ship has returned, as well as seekers from those 2 tribes. And luckily, it seems this ship still responds to all the tribes. This adds a airship which everyone can use, as well as 2 new seekers for the owls and Arctic foxes.
Z-Man Games has not 1, but 2 new editions of Love Letter for us. The first one is titled Infinity Gauntlet, and it is themed around Thanos and the other Marvel heroes battling it out to get the Infinity Stones. This is a different take on Love Letter in that one player plays as Thanos, and there is some asymmetrical gameplay. He has his own deck that he draws cards from. Meanwhile, the other players have new cards with different abilities that can actually help each other out. So one player might use a card to look at Thanos' hand, and then another player might use another card to then guess what that card is. So there's some teamwork involved, and of course you're trying to gather the Infinity Stones and defeat Thanos before it's too late, or vice versa if you are Thanos. The other version of the game is called Sender. This is a modern take on Love Letter. It seems to use most of the same rules as basic Love Letter, but all of the art and the references are tongue-in-cheek to the way that dating is today. You've got issues such as ghosting and filters involved. This is a free print-and-play edition that you can go and download right now if you want to try it out.
So we got some new base games as well as expansions for some other popular titles. The one thing I think is interesting, the Come On Games one, it's sort of like, sometimes we see a game like, oh, what if we took Connect 4 but did something gamey with it? And I'm surprised it took so long. I'm like, this makes sense. This looks interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And it's a fun theme that certainly will probably appeal to lots of different families. But yeah, there's something fun about the Connect 4 thing that maybe could work in a different way.
I mean, I always love when someone takes vertical space in a board game, because I always feel like that requires some kind of clever adaptation. And of course, it's always great at a convention when you see that, because they definitely stick out.
Yeah, true, agreed. There's definitely a lot of licenses in this batch of new games. Yeah, as usual. Back to the Future sounds interesting. There aren't too many actual specific gameplay details, so it could be not that great, but it is, at least it sounds faithful to the movie and fully co-op. That kind of thing can be fun. And of course, that barrage of games from the op.
I mean, that's what they do, man.
Yeah, that is what they do. And I mean, I think the Onward thing is cute. And it's not often that you see like a role-playing game based on a license.
That's definitely my favorite. And to be fair, like the Spongebob one's not aimed towards me. Let's be clear about definitely that one. And the Harry Potter one, I just didn't play the base, so it's harder for me to get excited about the expansion.
Yeah,
but that looked like it's really like it, because it's interesting because the Onward is a play on like Dungeons and Dragons, that sort of genre in modern times, and this is almost like taking it back,
right?
and I love this circle, and I haven't seen it, but it is on Disney Plus, so I probably will see it soon.
Yeah, well, there you go. Then you can get the full lore breakdown. And the Infinity Gauntlet Love Letter, I think, sounds cool. I mean, how many new love letters can they come out with? But this one, I don't think they've ever done it that I know of, where it's actually a one versus all game.
They haven't done that. The closest thing I can think of in terms of that isn't just a reskin for Love Letter is the Lovecraft one, which I really did enjoy because it adds a lot of weird twists to it.
Yeah. And I bet some of the other ones do too. There's just so many that we haven't experienced them all. But this sounds really radically different. So I think that's neat.
What I mean is I was saying Lovecraft because the other ones might have different cards with abilities. But like the Lovecraft one, this one isn't just we change the text on the cards. Like there's a mechanic, like a whole other deck, or in this case, a whole other player.
Yeah. I just don't know if there are other, because I feel like there's 100 love letters. Right. And I'm not well versed in all of them.
I am a little disappointed with the Sender one that they still use their medieval, Tempest is the world, I think?
That's the artwork style.
I would have loved if they did some simple, just like phone drawings, like someone holding a phone. And I mean, this is a print and play, which is the right thing to do right now because it's cheaper and everyone can play. But it would be great if they actually made like a little phone app version, so you could play with friends over the phone, and it's this version.
That would be cool. I'm sure it would take a lot more work.
That would. That's why I'm not surprised. But that would be a great future project.
Yeah, I kind of like. I think the idea is that it's it looks medieval, but they're like puns unmodern things, but yeah, I could see wanting the different style too. So, we don't know really. There are release dates for these games, or at least release windows, but some of them are from a few weeks ago, and things are shifting so much right now that we're not even going to try to predict dates for these yet, but presumably they'll all be released by summer or end of the year, but right now things are just wacky, so we'll have to wait and see. But we'd like to hear from you in the comments if you're watching this about which of these games you're most interested in. Have you been enjoying My Little Scythe? Is that something you're playing with younger folks in your home, or any of these other games? Or maybe you're print and playing Love Letter or something else. What are you hoping actually releases sometime in the near future? Talk to us down there. Till next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Will.
And this is Roll for Crit.
Catch the latest from Roll for Crit by liking and subscribing and supporting us on Patreon.
You're not a hidden traitor, are you? Come on, like us.